listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Du lytter til din hjerne på luften, hvor programmet begynder om kort tid.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And folks, love is in the air. Lindsey Graham's non-existent family called the ambulance for him while the Russian poison was severing his aorta. That's so lovely, and it's honestly heartwarming. Literally. Get it? It's funny. Allison Hammond is getting public attention about her relationship with someone 22 years younger than her. What? And unfortunately, this is going to be devastating to fans of podcasts. It's over for one of comedy's biggest couples, Tom Segura and Christina P. I know, it's a lot, but you're gonna get used to it. This is just, it's like the lunch lady. You just come up with your lunch tray, I go, bam, that's your serving, go ahead, that's it. I know how you guys like it extra sloppy, and it is sloppy today. It's a lot of garbage news, and you're gonna have to sort through it. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it all. Fans of Your Mom's House woke up to some pretty devastating news, either yesterday or today, depending on when you found out. TMZ is giving us the lowdown. TMZ says that it's over for these two. After 18 years of marriage, Tom Segura and Christina Pajitsky are officially parting ways. So, the stand-up duo reportedly called it quits after 18 years of marriage. Sources close to them, close to the couple, have reportedly said that the separation actually occurred within the last couple of months, but the famous pair managed to keep the news entirely under wraps until now, which is good for them. It started to become obvious to many of the people that were watching them closely, the people that tuned in daily and whatnot, kept up with the regular uploads. They weren't showing up together remotely. I think it was the last 3 months. They were not even in the same room. They always had the excuse that either one of them was at home or they were on the road. They always had something where it was the other person couldn't be here. And according to insiders, the split between the 47-year-old Segura and 50-year-old Pajitsky, I didn't know she was older, I actually forgot that, is completely amicable. Good for those two, whatever. In a statement obtained by media outlets, the source emphasized that the two have shared a deeply special and productive relationship over nearly 2 decades, building a massive empire while raising their 2 young sons, Ellis and Julian. While they have decided to take different paths in their personal lives moving forward, they remain fully devoted as co-parenting their children. Every co-parenting situation I've ever heard about or seen never goes remotely well. I'm just going to be honest with you. Everyone knows it to be true, as a matter of fact. I'm just going to be real with you. There's too many of these people floating around the world, with the folks where their, innate sexual desires. By the way, these two, Christina Pajitsky, Tom Segura, you don't have to know them deeply well. You just have to listen to their own speeches, not their times where they will go public in interviews. It doesn't take long for you to figure out these are people that were pretty driven by their base desires, much like most of their generation and a lot of future generations. I'm not going to act like my generation's any better. A lot of these people are going out and getting kids at 20-something. I get it. A lot of these people don't understand what life planning is. A lot of these people just want to rush into things that are going to stimulate them for a brief period of time. They don't want to think about the legit and serious consequences. A lot of people fall into having children. A lot of people are like, well, yeah, I'm sleeping with this person, and yeah, it's fun and whatnot, and yeah, we're having fun, we're enjoying ourselves, but then, oops, we got it, we have a kid now, and whatnot, and that's just sort of, it's happenstance. Kids are a lot of happenstance for people, and, unfortunately, most people don't truly evaluate if they're even ready for them. Now, I'm not one to make this a separation all about the children. However, when there is children involved, the separation will ultimately, the conversation is always going to move around to that. Whether or not they figure out a way to make it work where their family is happy, I don't know their personal lives, and I'm happy for them that they seem to have something where, I don't know, weekends, that's always one of my favorites, is when the parents are like, let's do weekends or some shit like that. It's goofy. You watch this shit in Family Court and whatnot, where it's like, it's adults that couldn't keep their lives together. They were driven purely by the idea of, oh, well, let's just, I'll figure it out down the road. It's always people who kick the can. They're like, I'll sort it out. I'll figure it out eventually one day, and then, oops, I got a kid. All right, oops, well, and then they never really give much thought to it. They never give much thought to the idea that they've now cursed a being with consciousness that is going to be forced to walk throughout the world, understanding that it is not a byproduct of a meaningful, happy relationship that was able to stick it out through anything. They're the product of base desire. They're the product of their parents' horniness, nothing more. They're not the product of like union. They're not the product of greater happiness at large. They're base desire. Unfortunately, this is how like a lot of us come into this world. Unfortunately, a lot of us are like base desires between two people that like caught eyes across a room at one point. You're like, I'm gonna be so frank and honest with you. The amount of people I went to school with whose parents knew each other for like 2 months before they ended up having a kid together. It is ridiculous. It's true. It's true. A lot of this is people where it's like, oh, shotgun marriage. You know what I mean? Because I guess I gotta marry him because he knocked me up or some shit. And unfortunately, while these two seemed very productive, while they seemed very happy, I always try to chastise people a little bit more who choose to separate once they've involved their children, because I believe that listen, people are going to get therapy-wise on me. They're going to go, you don't know my life. You don't know the decisions that I've made. You don't know the things that I've been forced into. I know, I don't. I just judge you for them. And that's fine. If you don't like it, don't listen to the show. But in all honesty, when I view this relationship, when I've seen it from 30,000 feet, these people that were together since like 2008, once they started to like, they were struggling to pay rent in their early years. Once this guy started to make a little bit of money, it was never about building family for him. It was about ascending his career. Her, I never felt that same exact way. Her, I never got the vibe of she's a ladder climber. Never once. I got the sensation that she is a deep lover. She's a deep caring person. I don't get that sense from Tom remotely. He's not a warm person. He is quite frankly clinical in the way that he views many of not only his friendships, but the way that he views his fan base. It's not hard to see that. A lot of people are going to be like, what are you talking about with this? It's just kind of verifiable. It's not. The whole joke is that he is partially an arrogant asshole for an act, but then also that's coming from somewhere. That is a part of the whole. That's a part of the joke, unfortunately. And if you're not catching that by now, I don't know what else to say. So I want to share this. This was a tweet that came out in 2019, November 26th. That because I had such a fun time with this story that I wanted to go back into this person's social media in order for you to just see how well this aged. It will be in the description for you. Now, this is a tweet from Tom Segura in 2019, November 26th. This holiday season, don't forget to toast someone who means the world to you. It can be your first wife, or your second wife, or even your third wife, at Samuel Adams Beer. Let's see this commercial. It starts with him like happily hugging a dog and playing and shit.
Thank you. Thank you. To me, the idea of toasting someone is exciting. I love the idea of toasting someone and saying that a lot of what I get credit for is because of you. Sam Adams, for me, reminds me of friends and family. It's the perfect beer to toast somebody with.
Now, I'm going to be honest. Okay, this is hilarious because it's not like a toast to be like, a toast at a wedding that somebody caught on camera or whatever. This was like a media promo thing that a lot of comedians did back then with Samuel Adams Beer, where it was like, oh, we asked you to toast somebody, and he chose to toast, sweetly, I guess, it looked at the time, his wife.
I've chosen to toast my wife. I could think of nobody more deserving to be toasted. I have nothing but amazing things in my life. 2 beautiful boys, incredible career. All of it is directly tied to having you by my side.
I know how hard you work so that we can have nice stuff. Because stuff's the most important.
Yeah.
I love you.
I do. You mean the world to me, so I just want to toast you.
Aw, thank you. I love you.
I love you.
I can't believe we've been together for so long.
I know. It's time to move on. But for the time we've been together, you've been great.
I think I need to drink this.
My second wife's gonna suck next to you.
Who are you going to marry next?
Some 22-year-old dummy.
Everybody knows it, and that's going to be great. As a matter of fact, 22, that's a perfect leap into our next story. I'm not going to cover this because we're in the realm of goy slop. I understand. Podcasts and ones that don't get you thinking, they don't challenge you intellectually, that's the realm of the goy, and we normally don't delve into that. We're going to stay in the realm of the goy a teensy little bit longer, just so I can touch on Allison Hammond. This beautiful black babe, this beautiful, bodacious, ebony, queen, quite frankly. She is the true queen of England. Alison Hammond is now opening up about her 22-year age gap in her relationship. She's gushing over this lovely man, and I don't know whether or not they're going to have a public wedding. That's what she said. She's like, I don't know if I want that judgment.
Alison Hammond is opening up about the age gap in her relationship and if she'll marry her 22 years younger boyfriend. The 51-year-old This Morning anchor told how her 3-year romance with 28-year-old David Putman was easy and vowed the pair chose each other every day. Alison has been dating the Russian model since 2023, despite the significant age gap. However, Alison has said that she doesn't think there will be a wedding as the pair are cool as they are.
You know, when you're 22, when your future wife is born, I don't know, or I guess in this case, if you are 22 when your future husband is born, I don't know how I feel about that. You know what I mean? I think that's a really, if they're two consenting adults and if he's down bad for that, you know... Can anyone blame him? It's Alison Hammond. It's Alison Hammond, man. She's the funny lady on British TV. She's the one who interviews for Blade Runner, the new one that came out. She interviews Ryan Gosling, and he's like, "Oh, you a fan of the original?" She's like, "I've never seen it." And it's like, good. She's funny, undeniably. When she picks up the tray of cookies, it falls off. Everybody giggles. That's like, you know, she's goofy. 22 years of age is a little much. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's not great. I'm going to be really, 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 really honest with you. It's not great. FBI agents, let's move on from the realm of the goy into the realm of the remotely serious. FBI agents, in the words of Tom Segura, it's time to move on. FBI agents have searched Senator Graham's D.C. home, and Senator Graham's sister will serve out the rest of his term, very likely. So, following the sudden passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, rest in peace, there's a highly unusual move being taken as FBI agents have executed a search of the late South Carolina lawmaker's Washington, D.C. residence. Federal investigators have not publicly disclosed the specific reason of the sweep. Sources are, though, indicating that the search began just hours after the D.C. Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that the 71-year-old senator died from a catastrophic aortic tear. So, okay. The political vacancy left by Graham's death has been swiftly filled. Sister to the South Carolina senator was appointed by Governor Henry McMaster. He has announced that he has appointed the senator's younger sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, to serve out the remainder of his term in the United States Senate. It's following the recommendation from President Donald Trump, who called the appointment a fabulous tribute to the late lawmaker. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not big on the idea of like sibling-based nepotism. Like if I were to suddenly pass away, God forbid, I would want my sister, if she wanted to have a podcast, create her own podcast. I don't want her to suddenly take over this podcast and go, well, welcome to the so-and-so's sister podcast. Like I understand she'd be hilarious. She'd probably do a better job at hosting than I would. But in all honesty, this is my time capsule. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be real with you. Lindsey Graham's term should be remembered for who he was. His sister is now going to come in there and do a better job than he ever could have. Unfortunately, because he was a bit of a do-nothing, he was more so just a person who pledged his loyalty to other people. But Nordone, who has had a career in state and public service, has never held elected office, is expected to be sworn in today. How good of an idea does this seem to anybody? She has stated that she intends to honor her brother's legacy by completing his work through to the end of his current term in January. However, her appointment is only temporary to fix a highly volatile political solution because Graham was in the middle of a re-election campaign. The state's election officials are now scrambling to organize and fast-track a special primary next month to select a permanent Republican nominee for November's election for the general ballot, with multiple high-profile South Carolina Republicans already positioning themselves to enter the race. A lot of political analysts are saying that the seat is wide open and there's going to be a bit of a fight.
Tonight, new video showing more than a dozen FBI agents fanning out across the Washington home of the late Senator Lindsey Graham. The FBI shutting down the street as investigators spent several hours on scene, taking photos and searching the property. Two law enforcement sources familiar with the scene tell NBC News their work is out of an abundance of caution. So far, no evidence has emerged to suggest foul play. A preliminary medical examiner's report revealed Graham suffered from a tear in the main artery of his heart, but they are still waiting on a toxicology test before declaring a cause of death. On Capitol Hill, Graham's seat in the Senate chamber adorned in white roses, his colleagues struggling with his shocking loss.
Senator Graham always brought a smile to your face and levity to the halls of Congress.
We will laugh together again.
I'm sure you will, John Thune.
In his home state of South Carolina, the governor appointing Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Nardone, to fill his term until the end of the year.
I think this is what Lindsey would have wanted, and I plan to honor him in this way.
Nardone is not expected to run for the seat this fall, leaving a wide-open primary field for a special election in August. She will be sworn in Tuesday, filling the vacancy quickly. What is less certain is if or when Senator Mitch McConnell will be back. Absent for more than a month, his office released this picture over the weekend, revealing that the 84-year-old is recovering from pneumonia after a fall at his home sent him to the hospital.
How fun.
Ryan Nobles joins us now live. And Ryan, I know you have some new reporting for our viewers about what was potentially Senator Graham's final phone call.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. Senator Tommy Tuberville telling us tonight that his
That's not a real name.
scheduler was working for Senator Graham and took a call from the senator on Saturday night saying that he had chest pains and to call 911. The staffer called 911 and then rushed to his house. They found the paramedics there treating Senator Graham, but unfortunately, it was too late. Tom?
That sucks that they were not able to save him, that they were not able to resurrect him, because quite frankly, he had more to do. He just like Alexander Hamilton, he had a massive effect on the country that he lived in. He was a figure many people are going to talk about for generations, and he didn't do very much in the way of actual forming the government around him. He just kind of he said a lot. He talked a lot, and that's about the majority of the actual effect that he had in the world. But unlike Alexander Hamilton, who maybe has laid a lot of groundwork for what we call our financial systems nowadays, Lindsey Graham instead will be remembered for bubble wands. He will be remembered for his absolute undying loyalty to Trump season 2, and that's that. And also wanting to destroy Russians, wanting to eliminate Russia as an empire, wanting to reestablish Bojangles foothold in the Donbass region, wanting to I'm guessing bring the KFC forces. He was Colonel Sanders. In reality, everybody knows it, and that's we're going to actually talk about Colonel Sanders in the next story. Latest on Senator Mitch McConnell's health, they mentioned it briefly. We got a somewhat of an update about the severe fall in his home. There was mentions of some cardiac arrest. It led to a sudden hospitalization. In a detailed personal statement, the 84-year-old lawmaker, damn he's old, disclosed that in June, on the 14th of June, the incident left him briefly unconscious, and he subsequently battled a mild case of pneumonia while undergoing medical care. Mild case of pneumonia. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've met many people with pneumonia, and they've never described as it's pneumonia, but it's mild. You know what I mean? I'm not dying. No one ever feels great with pneumonia. That's never a great sign of health. To counter the intense online speculation and the rumors regarding his condition, the senator's office released a photo of McConnell smiling next to his wife. If you look in, by the way, his right hand, so on the left of the photo, in his right hand, it is trying its best to hold up the paper of that day. It was like a newspaper, in order to kind of show people that it is the day that they claim that it was. And he is holding it very far down. I'm convinced, much alongside a lot of other body language experts, that is the highest he can pick it up. I think he's very, very frail, very weak at this current time. So they released this photo of him smiling next to his wife, former Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, and communist Chinese spy who meets with the vice president of China while her husband is apparently fighting for his life or whatever. They were holding the current newspaper. The Capitol's attending physician confirmed that the comprehensive evaluation ruled out a stroke, heart attack, or any broken bones. Medical officials attributed the fall to mobility challenges tied to McConnell's childhood bout with polio, which they noted had become increasingly difficult to manage with his age. While McConnell has officially transitioned from an acute hospital care unit to an intensive rehabilitation center to regain his strength, he acknowledged that he will not be returning to the Senate floor. I wonder why. Yet, he's like, I'm not casting votes, I'm not doing any of that shit, and until August 3rd, that's the deadline. I have to prove that I'm alive until August 3rd, and then they're not going to be be able to hold a special general election in order to replace my seat, whatever. He assured his constituents that he remains actively engaged in the Senate business from afar, working closely with his staff on upcoming appropriation bills and fall midterm politics. So it's particularly critical for the Republicans right now. His absence combined with the sudden passing of Lindsey Graham over the weekend, it's narrowing the Republicans' voting bloc. It's complicating the party's entire legislative strategy down the line. And despite them trying to put us all at ease with the newspaper shit, and the questions are still growing surrounding his actual fitness to serve. They're going, well, you might be alive, but whether or not, and by the way, I still am like 50-50 on whether or not he's really alive. I doubt it. I'm still significantly doubtful. I think that they've gotten like animatronics at Disney good enough to where I think they can get, the Walt Disney one that froze up and locked up on stage and then they end up closing the curtains. I think they're going to debut that, but for the Senate floor for a lot of these people. Unfortunately,
back to take out Kentucky Republican Senator Mitch McConnell released this photo over the weekend and offered a written explanation about his protracted and heretofore unexplained absence from the U.S. Senate. McConnell, 84.
He looks young and virile.
On social media that he was, for some period of time, reluctant to discuss his vulnerable health condition. He said he fell and was briefly unconscious and that he contracted pneumonia. He said he was moved from a hospital to a rehabilitation facility. CBS's Torian Small joins us now from Capitol Hill. Torian, pick it up from there.
Yeah, I think Major, what he said he did not happen to him is also striking. He said he did not have a stroke. He said he wasn't suffering from any tumors, that he didn't have a heart attack, and that his doctors ruled out a concussion as part of the evaluation that he went through. This is something that has been a little bit curious for a lot of lawmakers. Just moments ago, Senator John Cornyn, a Republican, by the way, said that he felt that McConnell should have been a little bit more forthcoming with information about his health, considering it's been about a month since we actually heard from him. This photo and statement, this proof of life, is the first time he's spoken since he was hospitalized about 4 weeks ago. And his Senate staff has also been incredibly elusive when it comes to getting any information out of him. And just to remind our viewers, for the past couple of weeks now, the only thing we've heard about the senator's health was from his friends, like Senate Majority Leader John Thune and Senator Barrasso, saying that they had conversations that lasted about 20 minutes with the senator about a bunch of topics, but didn't go on to say what his health status was. As of now, though, that photo is the only indication we have of his health and his recovery. But as of now, that's also unclear if it satiates what a lot of Republicans and Democrats on the Hill have been calling from his office, which has been transparency.
And the governor of Kentucky has asked for that as well, Andy Beshear. Any word quickly, Torian, on when, if ever, Senator McConnell will return to the Senate itself?
Yeah, I mean, according to that statement, Senator McConnell said he hasn't been cleared yet by his doctors to return to the Senate floor to vote. But as you pointed out, Senator Beshear has been one of those vocal critics publicly calling for a statement from the senator saying that his constituents deserve to hear it from himself. And over the weekend, just moments before McConnell put out that statement, Beshear was on the cable news circuit and said that he would be willing to defy a 2024
He could fix all of this really well. He could actually, the way that you solve this is release a video statement. That's it. Put this at ease, even if people call it AI generated. There are certain people that will be able to verify that it's not. There's going to be ways to test for it. Just put out a video of yourself. It's that easy.
Appointment powers. It's not clear if it's applicable now, but Beshear is saying that he's ready to really go to war in order to force McConnell to speak publicly on his health.
Good idea. You know what I mean? If Andy Beshear is able to get us an answer about any of this, that would be nice. I don't care if he has to threaten an old man. I don't care if he has to make him scared. We need answers. His wife is a Chinese communist spy. We need answers, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's move on, shall we, to the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Lots of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy, folks. Poison control centers they're seeing spikes in calls for opioid-like substances, kratom and 7-OH. So these substances can have they have caffeine-like effects in lower doses. In higher doses, they actually act on the same receptors that opioids do, and they can have a downer type effect. And many people are taking way too damn much, unfortunately. unfortunately. So if you choose to indulge in it, be careful.
Poison centers around the country are warning about some new calls here, and now the use of this substance, which some have nicknamed the gas station heroin, has skyrocketed in the United States. It's often sold in gas stations in the form of a pill. ABC's...
It looks like matcha, so if you really want to play a good prank on your friend, grind some of that shit up and make them a matcha out of kratom instead.
Yuri Benejout is here now with all of this. Yuri.
Poison centers around the country are sounding the alarm about this. They've received over 3,000 calls for kratom exposures just this year. And compared to last year, it's on pace for a nearly 70% increase. The most common group calling in, young adult men. Now, kratom actually comes from a plant. It's very popular in Southeast Asia for its stimulant-like effects similar to caffeine, but in higher doses, it can be a sedative, actually acting on the same receptors that morphine does. And here in the United States, you can find it in gas stations, at smoke shops, as a pill form as well as an extract form. And one of the most common forms is known as 7-OH. Now, because this is unregulated and comes from a plant, there's no standard dosages, and there are some serious concerns about contamination here. Some of the symptoms reported to poison centers include nausea and vomiting, confusion, rapid heart rates, and even seizures. About a fourth of those people that called into a poison center were actually hospitalized as a result of their illness. Now, just this past week, the DEA signaled that they're planning to move kratom into a Schedule 1 drug, similar and on par with other drugs like heroin. So health officials here really urging not to use these products, and if you do and experience any of these adverse effects, you should certainly call your poison control center.
You know, you could do that, or you can just avoid it entirely by not doing the drug. That's also fun. That's also a fun and interesting and cool option. Let's talk about this. Religious leaders. The government is holding briefs with religious leaders on UFOs. So it's natural to ask, why are they doing this? So Pastor Joseph Zupetz is joining us to talk about what they have learned from behind these closed doors.
Pastor, great to see you. So tell us about what your biggest takeaway was from this briefing. It's fascinating.
The idea that you would ever consult with who exactly? Congregations. Why? Do you want to redefine what religion is with these people?
Well, first of all, Katie, it's great to be with you, and congratulations on 6 months of the new show. How
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the briefing, you know, we're a bunch of broadcasters as well. I broadcast live every single day, and we were at NRB, National Religious Broadcasters event in Nashville, Tennessee, and we were approached by military contractors, people that had worked in the military industry complex, and they were working with government officials, and they invited us to this special meeting. When they brought us in, they sat us down, and they said, hey, please put your cell phones on silent, put them on airplane mode, and just set them down, please. Please don't record this. And they began to disclose a number of things to us. Now, Katie, a lot of it was not shocking to us, and I don't think it's something that would shake a true Christian's faith, because we know the greater truth, we know the Word of God, we were not shaken and falling apart by this. But the concern that they began to share with us was where this was headed, with the disclosure that would continue to happen, almost like in a drip, drip, drip manner, that eventually would just lead to ultimate disclosure, where maybe a non-human biologic begins to speak or make an announcement, and they begin to share wisdom from the universe. And I personally believe, like J.D. Vance, we're dealing with nefarious powers. One of the things they disclosed to us was 3 different things. They disclosed, number one, most of the things we're seeing in the sky right now is 90% high-level technology. Secondly, they said what is being marshaled towards us is what they call Project Bluebeam. Now, to the uninformed, uninitiated, that's a pretty wild conversation, but they began to talk to us about it. Now, we were informed of this already because of what we do, the broadcasting, all of it. And when we were into this space, they said that would be the second thing they would try to bring out, where they begin to falsify an alien invasion or falsify a messianic appearance in the heavens, and using voice-to-skull technology, which exists, and they want to use that to bring the whole world under control. That's
so what would be your advice to someone who's worried about this and who may, you know, have a second guess about the way the world works? I think I know your answer, but...
Well, give your life to Jesus. Let's go. You need to know Jesus. But the bottom line is there are nefarious things. There are certain things that are happening. They said 10% of what we're seeing is real and unexplainable. And this is where people are having real encounters. They showed us photos.
So what we're going to have, if you, I want to break this down in a very simple, easy to understand way. We're plotting to establish a totalitarian world government. So there is going to be elites with advanced technologies staging fake alien invasions or like a divine event, and it's going to have all of humanity accepting the new world order, the new age religion we all are going to live with. So this is all going to happen. This is verifiable. This is they are going to there's going to be artificial earthquakes. There's going to be like discovered, fabricated archaeological artifacts and whatnot that are good. But they're going to, by the way, their first point is they're going to destroy all of the foundations of all the major world religions, which partially is not the worst idea. I agree that we need to discredit, we need to reformulate the way that we all think about religion. However, they're not doing it for a good cause the way that I think we need to. They're doing it because they're going to use these satellite laser shows. They're going to have these massive 3D optical illusions in the sky that they're going to vary by region. It's going to be like Jesus for some people, Muhammad for some, Buddha for some, a lot of these other beings before they're going to merge them into this single unifying godlike presence that is going to use low frequency waves. Essentially what's going to happen is telepathic mind control that is going to transmit auditory signals directly into people's brains, making them believe that the chosen deity is speaking to you personally. It's going to be a very how they're looking with surround sound technology, all of this sort of stuff. They're getting to the point where the speakers can be miles above you in the sky, and they're able to center it in on your eardrums. And listen, the final stage is going to simulate a global crisis where an imminent alien invasion, a supernatural rapture, the Christians are right, maybe all that sort of stuff. The worldwide panic is going to force nations to surrender over their sovereignty and accept the new centralized new world order. And of course, Serge Monast, the individual who made this theory pretty well known, died of a sudden heart attack in 1996. This, of course, he might have died over 30 years ago at this point now, 1996. God, that's crazy to think that that's 30 years ago. It's seen a lot of people talking about it now, though. His ideas are not dead, especially with the idea of drone swarms, satellite launches, rapid advancement in artificial intelligence, deep fake technology, social credit score systems. A lot of what this man talked about, unfortunately, is starting to kind of come into fruition. We're starting to see it actually materialize in our everyday life. The only reason I bring up Project Bluebeam is because it seems like that's kind of what Peter Thiel and them are working towards. The idea that we are going to have a great service, a great turnover to their religion. Listen, I don't think religion's good for people, but if they want you believing in anything, they want you believing in them. That's basically how this works.
Even on cell phones of entities they've personally taken photos of. They look like light beings.
Then standing in the woods with long arms and legs and being translucent looking. I mean, that is scary.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that looks like a demon.
Yeah, it could be, Katie. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, we didn't fall apart like a $2 suitcase or start shaking, but I'll tell you what.
And of course, these people that are tied to their religion and whatnot, they're going to go, it's a jinn, it's a demon. Well, maybe what you idiots perceive to be jinns and demons are actually aliens. Maybe you're like, oh, the supernatural. We don't know if the supernatural. Tucker Carlson always does this fucking Episcopal fucking loser. He's always like, well, these UFOs, they're very obviously something supernatural. Very I think we're on the territory of fallen angel. That's just at least where my mind always goes. I'm like, of course that's where your mind goes, because you're mental, and you've only read the Bible once actually in your life.
I looked at that. It was very interesting to see, and it did indeed get my attention. We're in a world where you can falsify just about anything through digital augmentation or whatever. But when you look at it, there is something happening. And so I want to say this. This is important. The deception they were warning us about is because these guys were connected to the #1 UFO disclosure groups that speak right to the highest offices in the land. And they begin to share with us, hey, it's coming, but here's the deception. The deception is the narrative will change from we're not alone in the universe to we have a message for you. And the message is going to be we have come to enlighten your consciousness. We have come to raise your consciousness. The Bible's close, but here's the full message. Jesus is close, but here's the complete message. And I'll tell you what, don't fall for it. And any real believer, any Christian that knows the Word of God thoroughly will not fall for this mess, but it is coming, and it'll be very convincing the more it comes along.
He's on the ball 100%. He's like, this is like prophet level prediction of what's going to happen. And of course, by the way, there are going to be sects of humanity that are going to be like, well, maybe we should do it. Like, maybe these are the people that are like, well, maybe it's a good idea that we embrace the artificial intelligence. Maybe it's a good idea that I talk to my Alexa and like have it be my little assistant. Maybe it's a good idea that I give over a lot of my humanity to these, non-human entities. Maybe I should outsource my creativity to it. Maybe I should use it to plan out like, all of these sorts of things. Why work to be creative when I can use AI to help organize my ideas rather than, I don't know, book and paper, tons of other shit, Google Docs, anything like that. Anyways, okay. Mary Moriarty, this very devious name. Mary Moriarty. Why are we trusting the law in the hands of someone named Moriarty? Announces that the feds have turned over evidence in the deadly shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy and the shooting of Julia Sosa Solis.
Today, I am proud to announce that we have reached another important milestone in our work. Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained the hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld, including Renee Good's car.
I'm happy that you guys got all that evidence and that you can start to pursue justice for those poor and innocent ICE officers who had that raging young woman plow her vehicle into the side of him. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm glad that true justice can begin to be sought out. Now, a mistake was made with a flock camera in Plymouth, Minnesota. There is a Plymouth man getting wrongfully stopped by police in June. Joe Felder was test driving a car when police surrounded him, flagging his vehicle and his license plate as stolen. The plate numbers had been entered into a criminal database incorrectly, so officials asked him not to drive the car until the issue was fixed. In other cases, other departments have made the same exact mistake due to these flock cameras.
Your license plate is registered as stolen license plates in our system.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm joking about it. Yeah.
Wow, this is the first.
Flock cameras are used to scan license plate information, but a recent mistake from one of those led to a Twin Cities automotive journalist being stopped by the police. Joel Feder, who writes for TheDrive.com, said he was trying out a Range Rover for work when police surrounded him in a parking lot in Plymouth last month. Officers said flock cameras had flagged the license plate as stolen.
And I saw two cop cars coming at the right side with the lights lit and sirens going on. What the heck? Then I looked to my left through the glass. There's two more cop cars doing the same. And I looked at my wife, and I'm not kidding. I was like, I wasn't even speeding. Like, I did nothing wrong.
The Plymouth police chief said, quote, when the license plate was reported as stolen in California on June 24th, 2026, it was improperly entered into the National Crime Information Center database. A spokesperson for Flock said situations like this are rare. That said, an alert should be one part of an investigation, not the whole basis for a stop.
Well, that's the thing is these accidents, whatever you want to claim them to be, are happening more frequently, and they're going to start affecting more regular citizens. You're going to start going to jail for crimes that they just kind of think you committed. That's what it's going to be here coming up soon, unfortunately, for a lot of us. It's verifiable. We all were terrified of the idea. We read books in high school, and we told our English teacher to shut up. I mean, everybody did. It's like, you loser, don't try to make me feel bad for the baby in Omelas or whatever. I understand that, like, everybody lives in perfection, and they have to go see this baby, and that's, like, dying or whatever. It's, like, trapped in this closet, and that's supposed to be, like, an allegory for phones being made in China. Like, all right, I'll go check my Instagram comment section. I don't care. I understand you want me to care, but like my fucking family, they have jobs that work for them now because we've outsourced all the phone making jobs to China. And the reason that we don't have like kids here in America making phones is because we have different value sets. In China, they don't have that. So of course the companies outsource all the labor. And what do you want me to do about it? I'm in fucking 10th grade. I can't do anything. You want me to fly over there and save the kids from sweatshops? Just let me live on my phone. What am I supposed to do about about it. Bowling is too expensive, apparently. They are looking in. The Wall Street Journal is investigating, NBC News, because apparently this is what matters. Bowling is too expensive, and everybody knows that. Bowling is also like a pastime where it's either a great time or it's a bad time. It mostly depends on who you're bowling with, or if your thumb gets that weird little hangnail on the side from the thumb hole. It's always too small or something, and then it chips a little bit at that nail. It bothers me. Bowling is not only is it expensive, it hurts.
For decades, bowling has been thought of as the ultimate middle-class sport, but that source of affordable fun is becoming increasingly out of reach.
Now it's so much more expensive to just show up at a bowling alley than it used to be.
In a growing number of cities, it can cost more than $150 for a family to bowl for a couple hours on a weekend, which led me to Wichita, Kansas, where locals take their bowling seriously. The city, back in 2022, had 4 locally owned bowling centers. Then a Wall Street corporation came to town.
Lucky Strike, Lucky Strike, Lucky Strike.
The company, fueled by private equity investments, bought 3 of the 4 bowling centers from the family that had owned them for years, and has controlled the majority of lanes in the city ever since. And Lucky Strike now owns more than 1 in 10 bowling centers nationwide.
To me, the whole thing just feels like a microcosm of the modern American concept of corporate entities buy everything, they take over, they push out mom and pop just like Walmart. It's like Walmart or Starbucks, but for bowling.
I cannot wait for Walmart or Starbucks, but for, anything. It's going to be thrift stores. There's going to be Goodwill is trying to do that a lot of the times. And I know that most people prefer to go to their local Boys and Girls Club, which is also a massive corporation. People just want to pretend that it's local. My local Boys and Girls Club or whatever, they traffic children. Shut the fuck up. You're not a good person just because you chose to go with them. As a matter of fact, you're a worse person because you chose not to do any research. California Attorney General Rob Bonta announced that his state, along with 11 others, including Minnesota, are suing to block Paramount's $110 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers, alleging that the deal would create a media behemoth with the power to raise prices in film and television. It's just not fair, is what a lot of people are saying. And they're not wrong. It is.
I'm here to announce a lawsuit that I filed.
I love that he realized he's not here with any of his friends. So he's like, we're here, I'm here.
I'm here to announce a lawsuit that I've filed and that a coalition of 12 states have filed, challenging the proposed merger of Paramount, Skydance, and Warner Brothers Discovery, and asking the court to block the merger from moving forward. This $110 billion proposed merger, the largest merger in Hollywood history, would extinguish competition. It would result in higher prices, lower content quality, and fewer movies and TV shows.
Right, because that's what we need.
Makes clear, this deal is illegal under the Clayton Act. That is a law that has been on the books for over 100 years. It prevents mergers that may substantially lessen competition or tend to create a monopoly.
Well, are we dealing with a monopoly? Probably. I think we're verging on that point. Leave the Ellison family alone. They just need to make their money. As a matter of fact, I want to talk about this. Leave Target alone. Let them make their money, because Target is not the villain in this story we're about to cover. A Wisconsin family lost their 10-month-old daughter after she swallowed a water bead. Now, if you're familiar with Orbeez or any of those things, Orbeez were big when I was a kid. I remember I used to have them all the time, but you never put them in drains, never put them anywhere, because when they react with water, it's soluble. It absorbs it. It's not. You don't have to be a fucking genius to figure out that you shouldn't eat Orbeez. But obviously you shouldn't be leaving your 10-month-old daughter alone with a bunch of water beads. They are blaming Target and the water bead manufacturer for her death. The family has filed a lawsuit that claims that the retail giant failed to warn them and other customers about the dangers of water bead products that used to be sold exclusively at Target. Wait a minute, it's their fault because you managed to leave your child around a bunch of water beads. She ate them because she probably thought that they were like a cereal or some shit because you're a shitty parent. I'm just gonna be honest with you, you're not feeding that kid clearly because it's so hungry it's gonna eat water beads. What are you talking about? I know people are going, 10 months old, they just put whatever's in their mouth. Why are you leaving them alone with water beads? That's your fault.
A Wisconsin family is suing Target because they say the corporation knew about the dangers of a toy that ended up killing their 10-month-old. Here's the situation. Back in 2023, little Esther Jo ingested a single water bead. These are toys that were marketed as sensory devices or were part of craft sets, but they're also highly absorbent polymers, meaning when interacting with liquid, they could expand about 100 times their original size. That presents obvious dangers when swallowed.
So, okay. They are saying that the corporation is responsible for them, and that the company knew. I'm going to put on my defense lawyer hat, and I'm going to go, actually, in my client's defense, they didn't know shit. They didn't know that you would be so stupid as to leave your baby alone with little tiny water beads. Not safe, obviously, evidently so. Everybody knows that there is a size limit for toys that you are able to give a baby or a child of a certain age. You're like, no, they're going to put it in their mouth and they're going to die. That, unfortunately, is just a fact. It's verifiable. If you've spent any time around children, you understand that you can't have little tiny toys until they're like, 4, 5, 6 even. It starts to get to that age when you can trust them with little tiny army men and whatnot, and they're not going to choke. That's just a fact. It's true.
Especially by a child. So, Esther Jo passes away after complications caused by a single water bead. The lawsuit filed here in Hennepin County says that Target and the manufacturer for this specific type of water bead that she ingested clearly knew there was a problem because they both agreed to take the product off the shelves about 8 months before this child's death.
Wait, what? Wait, what? It's off the shelves and you're still bitching?
But they failed to send out any kind of a recall or warning to customers that had already purchased it. A spokesperson representing Target with their corporate headquarters here in Minneapolis says that they offer their sincere condolences, but they can't comment any further because this is ongoing litigation.
Well, your baby, unfortunately, should have wised up. I don't know what else to say. That's their words, not mine. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cover our last story, why don't we? I'm tired of wasting everybody's time. There's a lot that we can cover. There's a lot we can get into. Trump is dropping 20% cargo fees in the Strait of Hormuz. He's pushing the Gulf investment deals. He's a businessman through and through. In a rapid turnaround for his plans that he's had, he scrapped his conventional proposal and to charge 20% fees on commercial cargo passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The reversal is now coming a mere 24 hours after the president initially announced the plan, which sent shockwaves through the global energy markets and drew immediate warnings from maritime legal experts. Instead of the shipping toll, the president has announced that the United States will pursue a major trade investment agreements directly with the Gulf nations. In a social media post, Trump stated that the following highly productive conversations with the Middle Eastern leaders have happened. The proposed reimbursement fees will be replaced by what he described as a massive investment into the American economy. The White House has claimed that these new deals will bring historic levels of factories and manufacturing equipment into the United States, creating millions of high-paying domestic jobs. Sure, this is the joke. I don't have to create a joke by this point. This is such a hilarious claim. The shipping fees have been dropped. The administration, though, is moving forward with an aggressive naval strategy in the region. President Trump has declared the U.S. military will enforce a strict blockade on vessels traveling from to or from Iranian ports or any cargo ship carrying Iranian-linked cargo. Interesting. The president has maintained that the critical waterway remains fully open to all other international maritime traffic, crediting American naval power for securing the strait amid ongoing hostilities with Tehran. So it removes a massive logistical headache for global shipping companies. They warned that the 20% tariff could cost individual oil tankers upwards of $30 million per transit. However, the broader security situation in the Middle East remains incredibly precarious. A heavy exchange of strikes and counterstrikes earlier this week has left the fragile two-month interim peace agreement in tatters. A lot of global markets are still on high alert at the risk of wider conflict looming above our heads.
The U.S. has carried out a third straight night of strikes against Iran. According to U.S. Central Command, the mission lasted 5 hours and targeted multiple cities, and the strikes included the first combat use of sea drones. Tehran, they responded with attacks against U.S. allies in the Gulf. Let's go live now to CBS News.
Let's go live.
Aaron Navarro. Aaron, thank you for your time. time today. So President Trump claims the U.S. is in control of the Strait of Hormuz, but what exactly is the latest there?
Yeah, I'll start with some news that we just got this hour. Yesterday, the president said that there would be a 20% fee on ships crossing the straits as a way for the U.S. to be compensated for providing security. But just a couple minutes ago, we see President Trump on Truth Social, you're seeing the full post there, say that instead of that 20% fee, after consulting with other Middle East allies in the region, that he's replacing that fee instead with commitments from those countries to invest inside the United States. That, of course, is a big part of President Trump's economic agenda for more foreign investments, whether it be in manufacturing in the United States. He is saying now that that is replacing the 20% fee that he had floated yesterday. We did not necessarily have details on how that 20% fee would even work, the mechanism of it. The White House did not give those details quite yet, nor could the National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, when he was asked if it was legal or not, that they could actually answer that question. But it seems that the president has changed his mind, has pivoted to instead having this sort of exchange of investment from these Middle Eastern countries instead of charging them for every ship that crosses the strait. He also says in that Truth Social post that the blockade that the U.S. is expected to resume this afternoon, according to U.S. Central Command, will apply to only Iranian ports, only to ships coming to and from those ports or anything having to do with Iranian cargo. We do know that since the blockade was lifted, Iran has had sanctions lifted when it comes to transporting their oil. So that is big news, of course, when it comes to this battle over control of the Strait of Hormuz, in which you've seen the U.S. and Iran publicly really argue in terms of who actually has control over that crucial waterway.
Yeah, Aaron, you mentioned oil there. We know the uncertainty in the Strait is spiking oil prices. So is the Trump administration, is the president concerned about this at all?
I'm sure he's not getting much sleep.
And yes, in part because you're seeing lots of statements from them after the current BLS report of June, in which inflation dropped. And you saw a White House spokesperson say that President Trump is proven right there because that's what happens when the Strait is open for business. Well, now we're in a period where the Strait of Hormuz is in a very volatile state, in which the ships crossing the strait don't have full security guarantees, and in which you're seeing, as you mentioned, a rise in oil prices, 9% yesterday, one of the highest in recent years. Barrel of Brent crude oil at about $86 a gallon, or a barrel, which is less than
a gallon.
An increase from what we saw in June. It's a tricky spot for this administration as they try to find some way back to negotiations, but as well as for President Trump politically as the midterm elections approach.
Yeah. Aaron Navarro at the White House for us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things that we need to keep our eye on, a lot of things that we need to pay attention to, and now you can pay attention to whatever it is you'd like because you've made it to the end of my dishing of today's news. I hope that you enjoyed today's collection of stories. I had a wonderful time gathering them for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. I've been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. If you would like to be here for the rest of this week's broadcast, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, like if you liked it. In the meantime, me is me, you is you. I hope to see you again in another broadcast, but in the meantime, bye-bye.